The Kixirians, a diminutive yet ingenious alien species, had long been shunned and neglected by the advanced galactic civilizations. Eking out an isolated existence on their resource-scarce homeworld, they dreamed of a day when their technological prowess would be recognized. For centuries, the Kixirian people had labored tirelessly, using their keen minds and deft hands to eke out a meager existence on their arid, rocky planet. Though their world lacked the bountiful resources and lush environments enjoyed by many other alien races, the Kixirians had learned to thrive through sheer determination and innovation. They were masters of hydroponics, coaxing bountiful harvests from the sparse soil, and their engineers were renowned for constructing impressive feats of architecture and technology using only the most rudimentary materials. Yet, despite their accomplishments, the Kixirians remained relegated to the fringes of the known galaxy, their homeworld of Kixera largely ignored and overlooked by the more advanced civilizations. The larger, more powerful alien empires viewed the Kixirians as little more than primitives, their diminutive stature and humble origins fueling a deep-seated prejudice. Attempts by the Kixirians to establish diplomatic ties or engage in trade were routinely rebuffed, leaving them isolated and forgotten. Kilara, a young Kixirian scientist, had grown up amidst this frustrating reality. As a child, she had listened with rapt attention as the elders recounted tales of a bygone era when the Kixirians had been respected members of the galactic community. But those days were long gone, replaced by a steady stream of indifference and disdain from their neighbors. Why do they refuse to see our potential? Kilara would often wonder, her brow furrowed in consternation. If only they could witness the wonders we are capable of creating. Yet, as the years passed, Kilara's dreams of recognition and inclusion only grew dimmer. The Kixirians were resigned to their fate, content to focus their efforts on simply surviving and providing for their families. The vast, indifferent cosmos beyond their borders had all but forgotten them. That all changed, however, on the fateful day when the alien marauders arrived. It began with a faint blip on the sensors, a disturbance in the upper atmosphere that sent the Kixirian defense forces into high alert. Moments later, a tremendous barrage of energy weapons rained down from the sky, obliterating entire city blocks in a matter of minutes. Panicked Kixirians fled their homes, scrambling for whatever meager shelter they could find as the alien ships descended, their hulking forms blotting out the sun. Kilara had been in her laboratory, conducting experiments on a new energy storage system, when the first explosions rocked the ground. Stumbling to the window, she gazed in horror at the unfolding devastation, her scientific mind struggling to comprehend the sheer scale of the assault. By the 7 moons of Kixera, she whispered, her fingers trembling. What manner of creatures could unleash such wanton destruction? The answer became all too clear as the alien vessels disgorged swarms of heavily armed ground troops, their gleaming exoskeletons and baleful visors giving them an utterly alien and menacing appearance. Kilara watched in frozen terror as the invaders fanned out, methodically sweeping through the panicked streets and gunning down any Kixirians who dared to resist. It was a one-sided massacre, a brutal display of overwhelming force that left the Kixirians utterly defenseless. Their meager military, comprised of hastily conscripted citizens with outdated equipment, was swiftly overwhelmed and crushed. Within hours, large swaths of the planet's major cities lay in smoldering ruins, the once vibrant streets now littered with the broken bodies of the fallen. Kilara knew she had to act. Tearing herself away from the window, she rushed to the laboratory's communication terminal, frantically trying to establish contact with the planetary defense headquarters. But as she scanned the airwaves, all she encountered was static, a chilling indication that the alien invaders had somehow managed to disable or overwhelm the Kixirians' communications network. Despair threatened to consume her, but Kilara steeled her resolve. She had to find a way to warn the others, to rally whatever meager resistance forces remained. Snatching up a portable transceiver, she darted out of the laboratory, weaving through the debris-strewn streets as she made her way toward the central government district. The scene that greeted her there was one of utter devastation. Kalara's heart sank as she surveyed the smoking ruins of the once majestic government buildings, their proud spires reduced to smoldering rubble. Lifeless bodies lay scattered amid the wreckage, a grim testament to the alien invaders' ruthless efficiency. Pressing onward, Kalara finally reached the emergency command bunker, its reinforced doors barely holding against the onslaught. Bruised and bloodied, she stumbled inside, only to be met by the grim faces of the Kixirian High Council, their expressions a mixture of shock and despair. "Kalara, thank the moons you're alive," exclaimed the regent, a venerable elder whose weathered features were etched with worry. "We feared the worst when we lost contact with your sector." "Regent, the situation is dire," Kalara breathed, her words punctuated by the distant sounds of explosions. "The alien invaders have overwhelmed our defenses. Our cities lie in ruins, and our people are being slaughtered by the thousands." The regent's eyes widened in horror. "By the gods, I had hoped the reports were exaggerated. This is a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions." Kalara nodded grimly. "We must act swiftly, Regent. Our military forces are being decimated, and I fear it is only a matter of time before the invaders reach this bunker. We need to evacuate the remaining civilians and coordinate a counterattack, or all will be lost." The regent's jaw tightened as he considered Kalara's words. Around them, the bunker shuddered under the weight of another explosion, the very walls seeming to groan in protest. "You're right, child," the regent said, his voice laced with a resolute determination. "We cannot afford to be passive in the face of this onslaught. Summon our remaining military commanders. We must devise a plan of action, however desperate it may be." Kalara nodded, her fingers flying across the communication console as she relayed the regent's orders. As the Kixirian leadership convened for an emergency strategy session, she could only pray that they would find a way to stem the tide of the alien invasion, lest their entire civilization be wiped out in a single devastating blow. The fate of the Kixirian people now hung in the balance, their future uncertain as the ruthless alien marauders continued their relentless assault. In their darkest hour, the diminutive yet ingenious race would need to summon every ounce of their determination and resourcefulness if they were to have any hope of survival. As the Kixirian High Council convened in the battered emergency bunker, the fate of their entire species hung in the balance. The alien marauders' devastating assault had all but crippled the Kixirian military, leaving their cities in ruins and their people in a state of utter panic. Kalara watched anxiously as the counselors debated their options, their voices strained with a mix of fear and determination. The situation was dire, with their defenses breached and their communication systems compromised. The Kixirians had lost all ability to coordinate a coherent counterattack. Even the mighty underground bunker that housed the government's nerve center was under constant bombardment, its reinforced walls beginning to show signs of strain. "We cannot hold out much longer," the regent declared, his weathered features etched with a deep, weary resignation. "Our forces are decimated, and our cities are falling one by one to the alien invaders. Soon, this bunker itself will be overrun." Kalara felt a chill run down her spine at the regent's words. The realization that their civilization might be on the verge of annihilation was a terrifying prospect, one that threatened to overwhelm even the most stalwart of Kixirians. "Then what do you propose we do, Regent?" asked the counselor, his voice trembling. "Surely there must be some way for us to rally our remaining resources, to mount a defense against these monsters." The regent shook his head slowly, his eyes downcast. "I fear that is no longer an option, my friend. Our military might has been shattered, and our people are demoralized and fleeing in terror. Even if we were to somehow gather our remaining forces, we would be no match for the aliens' overwhelming firepower and numbers." Kalara felt her heart sink as the implications of the regent's words sank in. If the Kixirians could not defend their homeworld, then their entire race faced the very real prospect of extinction. She knew that she had to act, to find some way to steer their people away from the abyss. Steeling her resolve, Kalara stepped forward, her voice ringing out with a clarity that silenced the murmuring counselors. "Then we must look beyond Kixera, beyond our own borders, for aid," she declared, her gaze sweeping across the assembled leaders. "There are whispers, stories passed down through the generations, of a powerful alien species known as the humans, a race that has been witness to the atrocities committed by the marauders in the past." The regent raised a weathered hand, his brow furrowed in thought. "The humans. Yes, I have heard these tales as well. They are said to dwell in a distant corner of the galaxy, guarded and reclusive, yet possessed of unimaginable technological prowess. But surely in our darkest hour, they would not heed the pleas of our humble, forgotten people." Kalara shook her head adamantly. "We must try, Regent, for if we do not, then all is lost. The marauders will not stop with Kixera. They will continue their rampage across the galaxy, destroying any who dare to stand in their path. The humans may be our only hope of salvation." The regent considered her words, his expression pensive. Around them, the bunker shuddered under the weight of another explosive impact, a stark reminder of the peril they faced. "Very well, Kalara," the regent said at last, his voice laden with a glimmer of hope. "Assemble a delegation immediately. We shall dispatch them to this human world with a plea for aid. It is a desperate gamble, to be sure, but I see no other path forward." Kalara nodded, her eyes shining with a newfound determination. "It shall be done, Regent. I will lead the delegation myself. I refuse to sit idly by while our people are ground to dust beneath the alien's heel." The regent placed a weathered hand on Kalara's shoulder, his expression a mix of pride and trepidation. "I know you will do us proud, child. May the moons watch over you and your companions on this perilous journey." With that, Kalara sprang into action, rallying a small band of the Kixerians' most intrepid and resourceful citizens. Though their numbers were few, they were united in their determination to seek out the legendary humans and plead for their aid. As they prepared to depart, Kalara couldn't help but feel a twinge of uncertainty. The journey to the human world was fraught with unknown dangers, and the very idea of reaching out to a species they had only heard whispered tales about seemed like a desperate gamble at best. Yet, with the fate of their entire civilization hanging in the balance, Kalara knew they had no other choice. With a final, lingering look at the battered remnants of their homeworld, the Kixerian delegation boarded their hastily assembled vessels and launched into the inky void of space, their course set for the distant, reclusive human civilization. The journey was perilous, fraught with navigational challenges and the constant threat of the marauding alien forces. Their small fleet was battered by meteor showers and ion storms, and on more than one occasion, they were forced to take evasive maneuvers to avoid detection by the enemy's patrols. Kalara, ever the consummate scientist, pored over the limited data they had managed to gather on the human civilization, searching for any clues that might aid their mission. From what she could discern, the humans were a fiercely independent race, wary of outsiders and jealously guarding their technological secrets. Convincing them to provide aid to the beleaguered Kixerians would be no easy task. Yet, even as the journey wore on and their supplies dwindled, Kalara refused to lose hope. She knew that the very survival of her people rested on the success of this mission, and she was determined to see it through, no matter the cost. As they neared the edge of the known galaxy, their sensors suddenly detected a massive concentration of activity, a veritable armada of human vessels, their sleek, imposing forms a stark contrast to the Kixerians' humble craft. "By the moons, we found them," Kalara breathed, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "Prepare to initiate contact. We must appeal to the humans for aid, before it's too late." With a deep breath, Kalara stepped forward, activating the communication systems and broadcasting a desperate plea for help. As the message echoed through the void, she could only pray that the humans would heed their call, and that their gamble would not end in utter disaster. The fate of the Kixerian people now hung in the balance, their future resting on the whims of a distant, enigmatic alien civilization. Kalara steeled herself for what was to come, knowing that failure was not an option. As the small Kixurian fleet approached the edge of human-controlled space, Kalara and her companions held their collective breath, watching anxiously as their communication signal was received and analyzed by the imposing human vessels that now surrounded them. Moments stretched into what felt like an eternity as the Kixurians awaited the humans' response, their minds racing with a mix of hope and trepidation. Would the humans heed their desperate plea for aid, or would they be unceremoniously turned away, their last chance at salvation slipping through their fingers? Finally, the silence was broken by a crackle of static, and a deep, resonant voice echoed through the Kixurians' communication systems. Unidentified craft, this is the Terran Expeditionary Fleet. State your purpose and origin, and prepare to be boarded for inspection. Kalara's heart raced as she quickly keyed in a response, her fingers trembling slightly. Greetings, humans of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet. I am Kalara, representative of the Kixurian people. We come to you in our darkest hour, seeking your aid and protection. Our homeworld has been devastated by a ruthless alien marauder force, and our people face annihilation. We beg you, please, hear our plea and offer us sanctuary. There was a brief pause, and Kalara could almost feel the weight of the human scrutiny as they processed her message. Then the voice returned, its tone slightly softer, yet no less imposing. Your homeworld has been attacked, you say. By whom, and for what reason? Kalara quickly recounted the events that had unfolded on Kixura, describing the sudden, overwhelming assault by the alien marauders and the utter devastation they had wrought upon her people. As she spoke, she could sense the humans' growing concern, their once wary demeanor shifting towards a more empathetic understanding. I see, the voice replied, a palpable note of gravitas in its tone. The marauders have long been a scourge upon this quadrant of the galaxy, preying upon the weak and the vulnerable. That they would target your people is most troubling. Kalara felt a glimmer of hope flicker to life within her chest. Then you will help us. You will lend us your protection and aid us in our fight against these invaders. There was another pause, and for a moment, Kalara feared the worst. But then the voice responded, its timbre laced with a surprising warmth. Indeed, Kalara of Kixura, the humans of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet, will extend our protection to your people. You shall find sanctuary within our borders, and we shall lend our might to the defense of your homeworld. Kalara felt a wave of relief and gratitude wash over her, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Oh, thank you, humans. You have no idea what this means to us. Our people have been cast aside and forgotten for so long, but now we have a chance to survive. You are most welcome, Kalara, the voice replied, a hint of a smile evident in its resonant timbre. However, I must caution you, the marauders are a formidable foe, and their wrath will no doubt be fierce once they learn of your alliance with us. You and your people must be prepared to face the consequences of this decision. Kalara nodded solemnly, her expression shifting to one of grim determination. We are ready, humans. Our people have endured hardship and adversity for too long. We will stand and fight, with you at our side. Very well, then, the voice declared, its tone now tinged with a note of authority. Prepare your vessels for docking procedures. We shall escort you to our home system, where you and your people will be granted sanctuary, and the full resources of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet at your disposal. Kalara's heart soared with a mixture of relief and trepidation as she relayed the humans' instructions to her companions. Against all odds, their desperate gamble had paid off, and the Kixurians were about to step into a brave new world, one where they would no longer be cast aside and forgotten, but rather welcomed and embraced as allies in the face of a common threat. As the Kixurian vessels fell into formation alongside the imposing human ships, Kalara couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder and awe. The scale and technological sophistication of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet was unlike anything she had ever witnessed, a far cry from the humble, makeshift vessels that had carried her and her companions on their perilous journey. The journey had been perilous, their gamble fraught with uncertainty. But now, as they sat among the human leaders, Kalara knew that their decision to seek out this enigmatic civilization had been the right one. The Kixirians were no longer alone. Cast adrift in the vast, indifferent cosmos, they had found allies, champions who would stand with them against the marauders and help them reclaim their rightful place in the galaxy. With a renewed sense of purpose, Kalara and her companions prepared to embark on the next chapter of their journey, one that would undoubtedly be filled with challenges and hardships, but also the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The journey to the human homeworld was a whirlwind of activity and new experiences for the Kixirians. Kalara and her companions marveled at the sleek, efficient design of the human ships, their hulls shimmering with an ethereal energy that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The corridors were bustling with activity, a diverse array of human crew members going about their duties with a sense of purpose and discipline that was both impressive and slightly intimidating. As they neared their destination, Kalara couldn't help but feel a flutter of nervous anticipation. What would the human homeworld be like? Would the Kixirians be welcomed with open arms, or would they be viewed as little more than curious outsiders, their presence tolerated but not truly embraced? Her questions were soon answered as the small fleet entered the orbit of a lush, verdant planet, its surface a patchwork of sprawling cities and towering spires that seemed to stretch into the heavens. Kalara's breath caught in her throat as she gazed upon this marvel of a world, her mind struggling to comprehend the sheer scale and grandeur of the human civilization. As the Kixirian vessels were guided to a massive orbital docking station, Kalara and her companions prepared to disembark, their hearts racing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. They had come so far, braving the unknown and the ever-present threat of the marauders, all in the hopes of finding sanctuary and aid. Now, as they stood on the precipice of a new chapter in their history, Kalara couldn't help but wonder what the future held. The moment of truth arrived as the airlock hissed open, and Kalara led her small band of Kixirians out onto the bustling docking platform. Immediately, they were met by a contingent of human officials, their expressions a mix of curiosity and warmth. "Welcome to Earth, representatives of Kixira," a human woman with a kind, open face greeted them, her voice carrying a gentle, soothing tone. "I am Ambassador Eliza Sinclair, and on behalf of the Terran Confederation, we are honored to host you and your people. Please, follow me. We have much to discuss." Kalara felt a surge of relief and gratitude as she and her companions fell into step behind the ambassador, their eyes darting around in wonder at the sheer scale and complexity of the human spaceport. As they navigated the bustling corridors, Kalara couldn't help but marvel at the seamless integration of technology and architecture, a stark contrast to the more utilitarian designs of their own homeworld. Finally, they arrived at a spacious conference room, where a group of human officials and military leaders were already assembled, their gazes fixed upon the Kixirian delegation. Kalara steeled her nerves, knowing that the fate of her people now rested on the outcome of this meeting. "Please, have a seat," Ambassador Sinclair gestured warmly, her expression conveying a genuine sense of empathy. "We have much to discuss, but first, let me assure you, the Terran Confederation is committed to providing aid and protection to the Kixirian people. We will not abandon you in your hour of need." Kalara felt a wave of relief wash over her, and she could see the tension easing from the faces of her companions. "Thank you, Ambassador Sinclair. Your words are a balm to our weary souls. We have suffered so much at the hands of the marauders, and the thought of finally finding sanctuary is overwhelming." The ambassador nodded, her eyes shining with understanding. "I can only imagine the hardships you and your people have endured. But now you are safe, and the full resources of the Terran Confederation are at your disposal. We will work tirelessly to aid in the defense of your homeworld and the restoration of your civilization." Kalara felt a surge of gratitude and hope, her earlier trepidation all but forgotten. Truly, you have no idea what this means to us. For so long, we have been cast aside and forgotten, our potential overlooked by the more advanced civilizations of the galaxy. But now, with your help, we have a chance to rebuild, to reclaim our rightful place. Ambassador Sinclair smiled warmly, her expression radiating a genuine empathy that touched Kalara's heart. Then consider this a new beginning, Kalara of Kixera, a chance for your people to not just survive, but to thrive under the protection of the Terran Confederation. We are honored to call you allies, and we will stand by your side, no matter the challenges that lie ahead. As the Kixerians listened, racked with attention, Kalara knew that their lives had been forever changed. The humans had not only welcomed them with open arms, but had also pledged their unwavering support in the face of the looming alien threat. For the first time in generations, the Kixerians dared to hope, their spirits lifted by the promise of a brighter future. As the Kixerians settled into their new home on the human homeworld of Earth, a palpable sense of optimism and determination swept through their ranks. No longer were they a forgotten, neglected species struggling to survive on the fringes of the galaxy. Now, they were allies of the mighty Terran Confederation, their once meager resources bolstered by the technological might and military prowess of their human protectors. Kalara, once a lone voice of hope amidst the despair of her people, now found herself at the center of a rapidly unfolding chain of events. Alongside the human officials and military strategists, she worked tirelessly to devise a plan for the defense of the Kixerian homeworld. Drawing upon her vast knowledge of her people's technological capabilities and the tactics of their ruthless alien adversaries. The Marauders will not rest until they have crushed us completely, Kalara warned the assembled human leaders, her expression grave. They view the Kixerians as little more than an obstacle to be swept aside, and now that we have aligned ourselves with you, they will undoubtedly turn their full fury upon us. Ambassador Sinclair nodded solemnly, her brow furrowed in thought. Then we must be prepared to meet their assault head-on. The Terran Confederation will not stand idly by while your people are subjected to such wanton destruction. We will marshal our full military might to defend Kixera and ensure the safety of your citizens. The human military commanders quickly sprung into action, deploying fleets of advanced warships and mobilizing ground forces to fortify the Kixerian homeworld. Kalara marveled at the sheer scale and coordination of the human military machine, a far cry from the patchwork defense forces that had so easily been overwhelmed by the Marauder onslaught. As the preparations unfolded, Kalara was tasked with integrating the Kixerian technological capabilities into the overall defensive strategy. Her people's expertise in areas like hydroponics, energy generation, and materials engineering proved to be a valuable asset, and the human engineers were quick to adapt and incorporate these innovations into their own systems. With the combined might of our forces, the Marauders will have no choice but to retreat, Kalara declared, her eyes shining with a newfound confidence. They may have overwhelmed us before, but now we stand united, and our resolve is unbreakable. The Kixerians themselves were eager to join the fight, their desire for vengeance and the protection of their homeworld fueling a burning determination that their human allies found both admirable and slightly unsettling. Kalara had to temper the zeal of her people, counseling them on the importance of discipline and strategic planning in the face of such a formidable foe. "Patience, my friends," she would often say, her voice carrying a calming, reassuring tone. "The humans have vast experience in warfare, and they know the value of prudence and caution. We must trust in their guidance and work in concert, for only then can we hope to emerge victorious." As the weeks turned into months, the Kixerians and their human allies continued to fortify Kixera, reinforcing its defenses and stockpiling weapons and supplies in preparation for the coming onslaught. Kalara spent countless hours poring over intelligence reports, her keen mind working tirelessly to anticipate the Marauders' next move. Then, one fateful day, the sensors detected a massive concentration of activity in the outer reaches of the system, the telltale signs of an imminent alien invasion. "They're coming," Kalara breathed, her face etched with a mixture of dread and resolve. The Marauders have gathered their forces and are now poised to strike. This is it, my friends, the moment we've been preparing for. The human commanders sprang into action, deploying their fleets of sleek, powerful warships to form a defensive perimeter around the Kixurian homeworld. Kalara and her people took their positions alongside the humans, their hearts racing with a mixture of fear and determination. As the alien armada emerged from the void, its hulking forms blotting out the stars, a deathly hush fell over the assembled forces. Kalara held her breath, her eyes fixed on the horizon, waiting for the first salvo of weapons fire to begin. It came without warning, a torrent of energy beams and missile barrages that rained down upon the human and Kixurian defenses. The sky was alight with the fury of the alien onslaught, and Kalara felt her stomach twist with a sense of dread as she witnessed the sheer scale of the Marauders' firepower. But the humans were not to be cowed. Their warships responded in kind, their own advanced weaponry carving swaths through the alien formations. Kalara watched in awe as the two forces clashed in a titanic struggle, their weapons fire illuminating the darkness of space like a celestial dance of destruction. As the battle raged on, Kalara and her Kixurian comrades fought alongside their human allies, their own technologies and tactics seamlessly integrated into the overall defensive strategy. They provided vital intelligence, directing the human forces to the most vulnerable points in the Marauder formations, and their engineers worked tirelessly to repair and maintain the damaged human vessels. Yet, for all their efforts, the Kixurians could not shake the sense of dread that gripped them. The Marauders were relentless, their sheer numbers and firepower seemingly impossible to overcome. Kalara watched in anguish as wave after wave of alien ships battered the human defenses, their resolve slowly being worn down. "We cannot hold out much longer," she heard a human commander report, his voice tinged with a grim fatalism. "The Marauders are simply too powerful, too numerous. If we don't find a way to turn the tide, Kixura will fall." Kalara felt her heart sink, the weight of their situation threatening to crush her resolve. But then, a spark of inspiration ignited within her, and she rushed to the communication console, her fingers flying across the controls. "Listen to me, my friends," she broadcast, her voice carrying a newfound urgency. "We cannot afford to lose hope. The Marauders may have the advantage in numbers and firepower, but we have something even more powerful: our ingenuity, our determination, and the unbreakable bond we have forged with our human allies." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the faces of her Kixurian comrades, willing them to hear the conviction in her words. "We have survived against all odds before, and we will do so again. Together, with the humans by our side, we will find a way to turn the tide of this battle. Trust in your training, trust in your skills, and above all, trust in one another. For if we stand united, nothing can stand in our way." Kalara's words seemed to ignite a renewed sense of purpose among the Kixurians, and she could see the determination burning in their eyes. Across the communication lines, the human commanders echoed her sentiments, their own resolve hardening in the face of the relentless alien onslaught. With a renewed sense of purpose, the defenders of Kixura redoubled their efforts, their combined ingenuity and technological prowess working in perfect harmony. They devised new tactics, adapted their defenses, and unleashed a punishing counterattack that slowly began to erode the Marauders' momentum. The battle raged on for what felt like an eternity, a cataclysmic clash of wills and firepower that shook the very foundations of the Kixurian homeworld. But as the hours turned into days, the tide began to turn in favor of the defenders, the Marauders' relentless assault gradually losing its steam. Kalara watched in awe as the human and Kixurian forces worked in perfect synchronization, their unity and collective resolve proving to be the decisive factor in the conflict. She knew that their victory would not come without a heavy price, but the knowledge that they had stood their ground and prevailed against such overwhelming odds filled her heart with a sense of pride and renewed hope. As the final Marauder ships retreated, battered and broken, a deafening cheer went up among the defenders of Kixura. Kalara embraced her fellow Kixurians, tears of joy streaming down her face, while the human commanders offered their heartfelt congratulations, their expressions reflecting a deep respect and admiration for their alien allies. "You have proven yourselves to be worthy partners, Kalara of Kixura," Ambassador Sinclair said, her voice thick with emotion. "Your people's courage and resilience in the face of such adversity is truly inspiring. Together, we have shown the Marauders that they cannot break the unbreakable bond between our worlds." Kalara nodded, her eyes shining with a newfound pride. "And we will continue to stand together, Ambassador, for as long as the stars shine in the sky. The Kixurians are forever in your debt, and we will fight at your side, no matter what challenges may lie ahead." With that, the stage was set for the next chapter in the intertwined histories of the Kixurians and the humans, a chapter filled with the promise of a brighter future, one where the once-forgotten alien race would stand tall, proud to call themselves allies of the mighty Terran Confederation. "The humans are truly a remarkable species," Kalara confided to the Regent during one of their strategy sessions. "Their thirst for knowledge, their drive to constantly push the boundaries of what is possible, it is both humbling and inspiring. I believe that together, we can achieve feats that neither of our peoples could have accomplished alone." The Regent nodded, his weathered features creasing into a thoughtful frown. "Indeed, Kalara. But we must also be mindful of the challenges that lie ahead. The Marauders have been driven back, but they will not rest until they have destroyed us. We must remain vigilant, ever prepared to defend our homeworld and our newfound way of life." Kalara's expression hardened with determination. "Then we shall be ready, Regent. The Kixurians and the humans have forged an unbreakable bond, and together we will stand firm against any threat that dares to challenge us." In the months that followed, the partnership between the Kixurians and the Terran Confederation only continued to deepen. Kalara found herself increasingly immersed in the intricacies of human society, marveling at the complexity of their political systems, the richness of their cultural traditions, and the sheer breadth of their technological achievements. As she navigated this brave new world, Kalara recognized the immense value that the Kixurians could bring to the table. Her people's expertise in areas like sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, and materials engineering proved to be a valuable asset, and the humans eagerly embraced these innovations, integrating them into their own systems and processes. The Kixurians, in turn, were awestruck by the humans' technological prowess, their advanced scientific understanding, and their unwavering commitment to protecting the weak and the vulnerable. Kalara watched with a sense of wonder as her fellow citizens seamlessly adapted to their new roles, becoming integral members of the Terran Confederation's vast network of scholars, engineers, and military strategists. "We are no longer merely the recipients of your generosity, humans," Kalara declared during a formal gathering of the Terran and Kixurian leadership. "We are your partners, your allies, your equals. Our futures are irrevocably intertwined, and together, we will shape the destiny of this galaxy." The humans responded with thunderous applause, their expressions reflecting a deep respect and appreciation for the Kixurians and their contribution to the Alliance. Kalara felt a surge of pride and purpose, her once meek spirit now emboldened by the knowledge that her people had finally found their rightful place in the cosmos. Yet even as the Kixurians reveled in their newfound success, Kalara knew that the threat of the Marauders still loomed large. The alien force, having been soundly defeated in their previous assault, would surely regroup and return, their thirst for vengeance and domination unquenchable. "We must remain vigilant," Kalara warned, her voice tinged with a note of urgency. "The Marauders will not rest until they have crushed us, and we must be prepared to meet their challenge head-on, no matter the cost." The human commanders nodded in agreement, their expressions grim but resolute. "Rest assured, Kalara, the full might of the Terran Confederation will be at your side. We will not abandon you to the Marauders' fury. Together, we will stand firm, and we will prevail." As the Kixurians and the humans continued to plan and strategize, Clara found herself filled with a sense of purpose and determination that she had never known before. The once-forgotten alien race had found its place in the galaxy, standing tall and proud as allies of the mighty Terran Confederation. And when the inevitable day came, when the Marauders returned in greater numbers and with even greater fury, the defenders of Kixera were ready. The combined might of the human and Kixerian forces clashed with the alien invaders in a series of epic battles that shook the very foundations of the galaxy. Clara fought alongside her human comrades, her brilliant mind and unwavering courage proving to be invaluable assets in the face of the relentless alien onslaught. She watched with a mix of awe and pride as the Kixerians, once dismissed as weak and primitive, stood shoulder to shoulder with the humans, their determination and ingenuity turning the tide of the conflict.